It's June 6th, 2022. I'm driving into the city of Richmond in my old Toyota Corolla. It's a bright, clear, sunny Monday morning. Today's an interesting day for a few reasons. First, it marks the first week of my being a high school graduate. So this week is feeling a little bit surreal, not really being a student for a while. Secondly, I'm starting my first proper job today, which is a construction internship, which will last the duration of the summer. I've been looking forward to and dreading this day for a while now. I wouldn't consider myself much of a construction person. I'm much more of a scholar by nature. I just graduated from my classical Christian school with honors. Been a straight A student the whole way through. I'm also an accomplished cellist. At a recital just last night, I played a very difficult and impressive cello piece in front of a bunch of people. So I'm feeling pretty confident. I even just wrote a senior thesis on the importance of the trades. So I think even though going into this internship I might not have too much practical knowledge, I should be okay and I'll learn pretty quickly. So I pull up to the job site and I walk around to the backyard, and there is Eric, the stonemason. He's walking around unloading his truck, which he pulled back into the yard. He is carrying around bags of cement and wheelbarrows and rakes to mix the cement. And he sees me and kind of ambles towards me, shakes my hand, says, "You must be the new intern." And then we talk about the plan for the day. The clients are hoping to build an extension onto this old 1920s home, and the foundation for that extension has already been laid. So our job today is going to be to mix cement and then pour it into the foundation. Eric asks me if I've ever done any work like this before, and I say no. And then with a bit of a smile, he says, "It's going to be a real workout." And so I start mixing the cement with water, and it's just a full body workout. My body's screaming at me just a few minutes in, and I can feel the blisters forming on my hands. Eric walks up to me after a while, and he tells me that he needs to make a quick Home Depot run, but he leaves me with his number just in case I need it. He shoots me a quick message, so I have his number. I open my phone up, and it's supposed to say Eric, but it just reads Eek. It's E-E-I-C. I kind of chuckle just to myself at his inability to even spell. Eric goes and gets done what he needs to get done, and I'm just working on this cement and pouring it into the foundation. Then he comes back and we work side by side for a while. My wrist is just in a lot of pain after a while of scooping up wet cement and then dumping it into the foundation. Finally, Eric decides it's a good time to break for lunch, and I'm relieved at this news. So we camp out by his truck. I'm sitting just right up against it in the shade, and then Eric's just half sitting in his passenger seat with the door out, and we start to eat. And then after a while, Eric asks me just if I could tell him a bit more about myself. So in an effort to impress him, I talk about my classical education, how I just graduated, how I've been playing the cello for almost a decade. And Eric seems to get kind of interested when I start talking about music, so I talk a little bit more. He tells me he wishes he had learned a musical instrument, but he never did. And at this point in the conversation, I'm feeling I'm just feeling a bit of satisfaction with where it's going. Finally, I've been able to demonstrate to Eric that I'm actually good at something, even though the whole morning I've been sort of failing as a mason. And so I'm feeling happy, feeling good about myself. The sun's beating down on my legs, and there's cicadas chirping way above my head. I look over at Eric, who's just sitting there thinking. He brushes some crumbs off of his blue shirt, strokes his goatee, and he says, "You know, Zephaniah talks about God singing. I wonder what that must be like." And then he proceeds to talk about music and singing from a theological perspective, and it's all rather profound. And I'm just sitting there listening with the sun beating down on my legs and the cicadas chirping way above my head, realizing I'm sitting in front of a man who is truly flourishing. I'm sitting in front of a man who has attained a kind of wisdom that I do not yet have. My classical education could only take me so far, and I realized at that moment that there's going to be a lot of work to do over the summer.